Hello to everyone. Happy Friday. And welcome to the Pinfall podcast. I'm Liz. I'm your host tonight for this wonderful and magical evening of wrestling that we all endured, I assume. And I am joined today by my co-host, as always, Mark.
Hello. Last podcast of July 2020.
Really? Oh, wow.
Also, I don't know if you realized, but you have baseball on in the background.
Yeah, I did realize, actually. Okay, there's 2 outs. So we're probably going to win. I don't think anyone can see that well.
I'm sure you're also the only Yankees fan watching right now.
Ooh. Ooh.
Because I know,
Big words.
I know Mike is a Giants fan.
All right, well, I mean, I can't watch my game. Anywho, my feelings have been hurt.
Can you watch it from back there?
No, I genuinely just have it on because I need to know that I have it on.
Okay.
There's 1 out left. Some schmuck is on second, but not really that concerned. That being said, in spite of the baseball that's been happening tonight, we've also had Yankees just won. Okay, now we're happy. Now we're good.
We're professionals, people. We are professionals.
I saw some guys high-fiving, so I had to be part of it. So Smackdown happened.
And Mike is 7/8 done with his bottle, so.
Oh, wow, Mike. That's impressive. I've had a couple of cocktails, but I'm not feeling anything yet tonight. I don't know why.
Also, I don't know what you're talking about. I enjoyed today's SmackDown. I thought it was great. Definitely better than all the other terrible SmackDowns that we've had. All of our fights were really fun, except maybe that last one, which had an iffy ending. The one before that, the Naomi Lacey fight was a little rocky, but had a good ending to it. I mean, I think it was solid all around. Milam also agrees.
I don't know. I liked a lot of the stories they set up. I'll give it that much.
Yeah.
The stories that were set up tonight were at least relatively. I felt like we saw a lot of new stuff, and by new I mean like new chapters or new beginnings, because it finally wrapped up several stories that maybe didn't necessarily get wrapped up the way they were wrapped up, but it still ended at least. So like now we can focus on new things, and I can be angry less often.
Yeah. Like Jeff Hardy and Sheamus.
Yeah. Still not happy about it. There's so many things I'm still not happy about with that story. But at least it's sort of over.
And I think I think Sheamus is going to go for a title now. That's what it seems like. I have a feeling.
Oh, it just sounded like Sheamus was about to fight literally anyone that got in his way.
Yeah.
Just, at this point, pretty much everyone probably besides King Corbin.
But, like, I mean, what's there to... He's not just going to run around aimlessly just fighting anyone he sees. He's going to, like, probably go for a title or something. Probably go for, like, the Universal title.
Well, can he?
That's the thing. I don't know.
Like, I don't really know what title there is for him to go for unless he really wants the Intercontinental Championship, because currently the title holder for the Universal is somewhere?
I feel like...
Somewhere else?
I feel like he's kind of the only one who can really contest for it right now, because AJ is so dominant at this moment.
And Sheamus would demolish AJ. I don't see much of a...
I don't know. AJ Styles, like, I think took down Randy Orton not too long ago. Oh, my laptop's notifications are on. There was a... I don't remember when it was, but I've seen clips of a fight between Randy Orton and AJ Styles, and AJ was, like, countering all of his RKOs. Those are
What's
really
your
cool
definition of not too long ago?
I don't know. Back when AJ was on Raw, which was not that long ago.
All right. Fair, I guess.
Early 2017, Mike said.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like Sheamus is more powerful than he is. But...
Oh, yeah. I'm sure he is. But I'm sure AJ will put up a good fight.
We'll find out next week, I'm sure, as to what's supposed to be happening with that, because really all Sheamus was saying was, like, I'll fight anyone in the locker room. I don't care.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Let's jump into our news segment.
Also, AJ, according to Milam, AJ beat Orton at Mania 35. And now news.
I mean, he's not going to be fighting Randy, though, so...
Yeah. But he's just the legend killer.
Words. Bold words. So, my first piece of news to report on is some good news for WWE, which is they, I think, said that they had a $43.4 million increase in profits this past quarter. Like, it's so weird to see this headline, because Vince McMahon is being asked, like, why NXT and Raw are doing so horribly right now in comparison to AEW. Which is confusing to me, because you would think that if anything was doing horribly, it would be SmackDown. He's been asked that a lot. Like, I guess viewership is going down. He's complaining about creative and whatnot. But, it had, like, an amazing quarter for the fiscal year. According to Wrestle Talk, like, in spite of the pandemic, in spite of everything that's been happening as of late, they had, like, an amazing finish to their first half of the year. So, I don't know what the truth is. I don't know if, like, the increase in profits is just from SmackDown. Not a little confusing to me.
I mean, it would make sense, because Fox would be, like, the only channel on, like, every cable television.
I've also been promoting SmackDown a lot more recently, I feel like.
Yeah.
I don't know if maybe we're just watching more Fox than we normally do. I feel like I've seen a lot more commercials for SmackDown as of late.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. But that's always a good sign. Then we also found out that WWE is reviving Payback as a pay-per-view. I believe that is the pay-per-view that they're going to do the week after SummerSlam.
Yeah.
So that means that we get 2 solid, or technically 3 solid weeks of wrestling. I'm excited for.
Yeah.
I don't know if my, like, skin's gonna be excited to do makeup every other day and not have a break at all on the weekends. But my brain is thrilled for what could possibly happen.
I mean, we have TakeOver, and then the next day SummerSlam, and then a week from SummerSlam Payback. And people are also wanting like Saturday night specials, like Saturday night main events, which is, I think, something they used to do.
Right. Let's not push creative too hard. I've only just been getting some good stuff. Then Alistair Black.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So, as I complained about on Monday. On Monday, as I complained. Alistair Black came out during the Seth Rollins Buddy Murphy impromptu match against Dominic. Not wearing the clothes he normally wears, first of all. He looked like he was coming from a wedding or a funeral. We weren't really sure. He had a nice little vest on, his cropped slacks. He was looking cute. But he came out looking a little different, and then he got his eye taken. Sort of. It looked like. And then we didn't hear anything about it for the rest of the 3 hours of that episode. And we didn't hear about it again at all. But we did hear news that they were kind of thinking of doing a different gimmick for Alistair Black. And he posted 2 pictures 3 days ago and 1 picture 2 days ago on his Instagram. Which you actually, Mark, you enlightened me to.
Mm-hmm.
The first one was, there's blood on my shoes, and I understand I have to take accountability in this, but let me tell you a story. It was a black square. If you go to his Instagram, you can follow along with what I'm reading. It'll be like a little read along. He posted a second black square 3 days ago, and said, see, my father was a cruel man, and he was cruel because his father was cruel to him. So I created a narrative that evil was a perspective as means to not be like him. And then the kicker. 2 days later, or 2 days ago rather, we get this picture of Alistair Black, which you can barely see because my camera apparently is dirty, as it always is. But you can tell Mr. Black here does not have an eye, or so it seems, and it looks like there's blood coming from his little eyeball socket. Sorry. Changed my screen changed for a second. Which I guess implies that he doesn't have an eye anymore.
Yeah. Eye patch
and
Alistair
he
from
said,
now on. Eye patch Alistair from now on.
I'm gonna be a pirate now. But he said in this picture, and now I must rewrite 4 years of my own history by getting rid of that weakness. The same weakness that caused this betrayal. This is where my accountability ends and yours starts.
See, I don't know what it means other than I'm changing my story or being made to change my story.
Which, it's funny that this is happening, and like by funny I mean it's kind of sad to me, because shortly before all of this news hit, before all of like the rumors about Alistair Black changing his gimmick really kind of set into motion, I had been talking to Mark about how I thought the story that Alistair Black was doing, because like I learned about like his whole backstory as far as his character is concerned. I was like, it's so cool, it's so interesting, and it was like so close to him as far as like how he decided to create it. It was like, it seemed like a very like important thing to him. And now he's got to change a lot of it. I'm sure that he's still going to be able to keep some aspects of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm sure that he's not going to come out like Flair, you know.
God.
It just. Ugh.
I mean, I just want
sad.
him. I want him to keep the whole fallen angel type thing, but I feel like his turn in character to be Rey Mysterio's lackey was Vince's part, or whoever was writing at the time. So you can't really blame Alistair, I don't think.
I definitely don't blame Alistair for this.
Because he was written into those bookings.
I just feel bad that this is like what's happening.
Yeah, I want to see him. It would be amazing if we can go back to seeing him versus Drew McIntyre after watching ICW.
I think I'm just hoping that whatever comes of this is like character and a gimmick that will result in him having personality that can get over with the fans as a singles person. It will lead him to kind of be more independent of other people, because I don't think that he's gotten that luxury recently, and that's like, I think that's what's driving everyone crazy now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to try to pull my hair back a little bit.
I think they need him...
I did not wash my hair tonight like I normally do.
I think they need him to kind of turn heel. I think that's what they need for him right now. Because if I feel like they can't have him be face right now, and have it be executed well. If he turns heel, then he can be out for revenge, or not necessarily out for revenge, but like, you know, it's kind of lashing out after getting his eye removed, and you know, he's angry. Like, he's really angry at this point. That's all I can see right now.
Or we could see him go like kind of like anti-face, sort of, where it's like he's not a heel, but he's like ruthless against heels.
Mm-hmm.
A lone wolf, ruthless bastard man.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if he's really... I feel like to turn him completely heel all of a sudden after being injured by like the ultimate heel in Raw right now, maybe excluding Randy Orton, I guess. Like, I just feel like that'd be like a bit extreme. I feel like if they were to be like, here's Alistair Black, and he's not a heel, but like he's mad. He's an angry man now.
I just don't know what you do with him otherwise. Like, you keep him kind of how he is now in terms of like direction. Where do you put him?
You could literally still have him taking out Seth Rollins for taking his eye. Don't make it so he's taking out Seth Rollins with the help of Humberto.
Yeah. I guess now it's more... I feel like
that's an option.
Now it's more for personal reasons rather than as a white knight.
Right. It's like he was slighted. Now he is going to be mad.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the best option.
Yeah.
I just don't see there being enough space for... Alright. Fine. All the clothes fell off the back of my shirt. Or off the back of my shirt. I don't see him going full heel. Like, what's he gonna do then? Be like, hey, Seth, you stole my eye, but let's team up. Or, like, Randy Orton doesn't really seem to be in the position of teaming up with people.
Mm-hmm. I just wish when he was thrown off the roof that his character died. That way he could be, like, re-arisen, so to speak. That would have been a cool storyline.
Yeah. Now we're here.
On the second roof.
Without Paul Heyman.
And without Rey Mysterio.
There's been so many articles recently, too, where, like, Vince finally speaks out as to why, like, he fired Paul Heyman. And I'm like, every single time, it's just, well, he was a super creative guy, and he was great in terms of creative. And then there's really no excuse as to why he fired him. And I'm just sitting there watching all of the ridiculously uncreative shit that has been happening as of late, like, between SmackDown and Raw. And I'm just like, so what is the excuse, though?
Yeah, I think I know the article you're talking about, where, like, there are many headlines saying, like, oh, Vince opens up about this. And every single thing he talks about in that article is just one sentence, if even that. It's like, one of them was about Paul Heyman. One of them was about, like, being shorted by AEW. I think another one was about a wrestler. I forget who it was. But it's all just, like, short stuff that provides no information whatsoever.
I saw this article on Wrestle Talk. I think I know what article you're talking about too, and I don't know if it's exactly the same, but it's probably from the same interview, more or less. It's frustrating because it's like it doesn't lend you any insight at all. And when you consider the fact that, like, okay, so Vince is saying that he was good with, like, the creative side, which was, like, his main thing after Undertaker said, I'm fucking off and going home. Or not Undertaker, sorry, Brock Lesnar said it. I don't know what I'm talking about. But when Brock Lesnar was like, I'm not coming back until you guys can pay me money. Or... Like, if creative was his only job and you're saying he was good at creative, it's like, you were good at your job, but I just didn't want you here anymore. Right? It's funny because, like, I hated Paul Heyman when he was, like, Brock's manager. Now that he's gone, I'm starting to feel the burn, and I'm like...
I think we just hated him as Brock's manager because we hated Brock. Because, I mean, Paul Heyman did a great job as that character.
The funniest part to me is, like, when Brock caved Randy's head in, basically, and Paul was just like...
That video was hard to watch.
Oh, it was so bad because we got so far into that fucking episode. And then all of a sudden, I was like... I know what happens. No, we just had to sit there for it.
And Randy's just like laying there helpless, like, please get this guy off me. And I really hope that those extra punches were written in and that Brock just didn't go in for more because, you know, he's a mindless brute.
Well, according to Randall, they weren't quite. Also, just the fact that, like, that was, like, actual blood coming from his head. And then you get to see Shane McMahon thrown in the ring, and you see, like, the pool of blood from Randy's head on Shane's black leather jacket. I was like, If there's one place I don't want to be seeing blood, it's on somebody's black clothing item. That shouldn't be possible. Anywho. So my last piece of news, I saved this for last because it was the most relevant, which was Drew Gulak suffered a bit of an injury. I think we commented on this injury too when it happened because he was in a fatal 4-way last week, and there were a couple hits where, like, he got brutalized a little bit outside the ring, and at one point I was like, oh my god, Drew Gulak just bounced. And apparently, he was obviously cleared for wrestling tonight because we saw him. But apparently he suffered minor internal injuries. One of the symptoms of these injuries being that he was coughing up blood.
No.
Doesn't sound minor.
When coughing
to me.
When you mention coughing up blood, it might not be as brutal as we think. It might just be like, well, a tiny drop of blood every now and then. It might be damage to, like, I don't want to say his lungs, maybe like his trachea or something. Or maybe blood in his mouth.
The thing is that, like, when I think of someone coughing up blood, because, like, coughing is your lungs contracting and air coming up through your throat. So when I think of coughing up blood, that means that there's blood that you could also be breathing into your lungs, which isn't great to do ever at all. Nothing liquid should be in your lungs besides, like, whatever mucus hangs out in there regularly for health benefits. So it just...
I mean, if he was...
I don't know. The sound of coughing up blood just sounds bad to me. It just doesn't sound right.
If he was fighting today, aka when they tape this, I'm sure it's not that bad.
True. And I am realizing also that I have skipped over one headline that I really wanted to talk about, and not at length. but just because it was a headline that I saw and I was like, I have to bring this up.
Okay.
Which is, and I feel bad. Mark and I talked about this headline earlier, but I feel bad because the sentiment of the headline is actually quite sweet. Johnny Gargano said that he wishes that he could get pregnant so that Candice LeRae wouldn't have to stop wrestling for them to have children. Which, the sentiment, 100%, is a very sweet sentiment. There's very few female wrestlers that have had children and have come back from having children and continue to wrestle, because having children is a full-time job. I didn't know, but I was a child at one point, and I'm pretty sure that was a full-time job for my mother. Not one that she could like go and do wrestling tapings in between taking care of me. But at the same time, as a person that was brought up on fan fiction and has seen the weirdest parts of fan fiction.
Oh, we're going to get a lot of that now.
It's just... It's a really sweet sentiment. It's like he cares about his wife's career more than he cares about his.
Oh, yeah.
Respect that entirely. But my God, the wording of it just sent me to the goddamn moon. Because I was just scrolling and I just see, because this was, I think it was on Wrestle Talk, or it was on Cultaholic. I'm scrolling and I just saw Johnny Gargano, always the gentleman. And I see that headline, I was like, no, I had to bring it up. It wasn't something I could just sit on.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
So we started. Oh, shit! Who's gonna know what section this is? Who's gonna know? God dang it! Oh, god dang it, guys! Oh, I'm throwing this all away.
I want to remind everyone that I give Liz so much prep time before we start the show. I tell her that we don't start till she gives a thumbs up, that she's all good to go, and even after that, we still have like 2 or 3 minutes before we actually start. So Liz has plenty of time to get this stuff ready to roll.
Somehow...
It's in your hair. It's in your hair, Liz.
What?
It's in your hair, in the back.
No, it's
Turn to your left. Turn to your left. Oh my God. To the moon!
Oh my God.
We're professionals.
I need to get my hair cut so badly. I told everyone in a tweet prior to this episode starting. I said that this is going to be me flying by the seat of my pants because I've been stressed out about so many things. Pete, I'm sorry. I know it's a little cramped right now. It's just trying to break anything. Do you like my blue Smackdown? And
yes, it's very nice.
Yeah. All right. So now I've got like tears coming out of my eyes. So we started tonight with the same thing that we've been starting with last few SmackDown episodes, and I think it's because people praised it once, and now they're just like, gotta run with it. Which is a weird montage of intros and promos and stuff.
Like these teasers.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of get why they're doing it, because you want somebody to know. If, like a casual viewer, you want them to know kind of what they're getting into before they start, and so they don't just turn it off before a certain point. But at the same time, it started with kind of teasing the major fights going on, more than one, but then it became just one fight that they were teasing for a few weeks. They were doing that, and now today they went back to doing all of them, teasing every fight. And I mean, when it was just one fight, I was like, okay, this is fine, it doesn't take up too much time. But now it's cheesy, it's like, it's lame, just do a normal promo. Or better yet, do what like sports do, like baseball, and show like a graphic literally showing the fights booked for today. Have a commentator.
The thing is that it's like a lot of the stuff that they announced, like we already kind of knew was happening. For example, like I really thought that they were just going to start with like Bayley and Sasha talking shit, and then Nikki and Alexa talking shit. I kind of thought that was how it was going to go. Then they moved on to Big E and the Miz. It's just like I do understand. I feel like they might be just trying to make more room for promos to push new storylines and stuff. I also think, again, like I said, like people praised it once because people really liked it when they first did it a couple weeks ago. And I think in the same way that they started doing like the semi-commercial free NXT or semi-uninterrupted NXT.
Limited commercials.
They did that. They started doing that at the same time that they started doing this weird promo thing for Smackdown.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what's happening. I don't know why they're doing it. I think they got a little too much love for it the first time, and now they're just like, well, if they love it, we have to keep doing it because that's all that's going to get us views.
Like, it seems a lot like a reality show in that sense, and less like a sporting event. I would like to see it treated like a sporting event in that sense, especially SmackDown, because it's on Fox. It seems much more professional than Raw and NXT. So like you show a graphic with all of the booked fights, and still like have some thrown in. Oh, Liz is gone.
Not gone.
You show a graphic with all the major fights happening, all the major bookings, then have some sprinkled throughout. It takes up a lot less time, and it's less cheesy, and I think that fits the SmackDown brand, and I think everyone kind of knows SmackDown as like the more official WWE brand because it's on Fox and everything.
Or even just like, because the thing is, I don't need promos for matches I already know are going to happen. You know, I don't need a promo for the Bayley and Nikki thing. Unless like you're going to do a creative angle for it. I don't really need that because I know this is happening. You don't need to promote it. I'd much rather just like listen to Michael Cole and Corey be like, well, tonight we have blah, 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 blah. And I'd be like, all right, cool. And then like have a couple surprises thrown in here and there.
Yeah.
No big deal. That's fine. Sorry. There's a cat rubbing herself all against my legs. But yeah, so we started tonight with a weird-ass montage with Bayley and Sasha trash-talking Nikki and Alexa. Nikki and Alexa trash-talking Bayley and Sasha. And then Big E talking about Miz and Miz talking about Big E. Lacey and Naomi and AJ Styles and Metalik. And then we had a Firefly Funhouse promo. So, like, to do a promo after all of those things kind of just, like, throws me a little bit. Because
I thought it was part of that montage.
I didn't realize if it was supposed to be that or if it was supposed to be an actual promo. I don't know. That was the only thing that was worth commenting on, which was Bray has apparently been hanging out in the swamp lately. Yeah, good for him. Quarantine activities.
Braun's gone.
And apparently the Fiend is not pleased with the current state of affairs at this point.
Mike just mentioned Braun has to come out of this with a sort of change. I can see that kind of happening the way they showed the clone Braun, the Frankenstein Braun. I could see them bringing him back in that way. Otherwise, if you're not going to bring him back, put the Universal Championship up for grabs and have the Fiend going for it. But it seems weird for the Fiend to be going for a title in like a tournament. Unless he like absolutely demolishes everybody that he comes across. But I think the way that I want is Frankenstein Braun coming.
I wish I had like any like form of understanding as to what's happening in that storyline right now. I really just feel like I've been thrown a puzzle.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not allowed to put the pieces together. Only they are.
Well, there is more to the story later on, so we can add on to our discussions at that point. Because I feel like that will add a lot to what we're talking about.
You know, by the way, I made a funny little picture. Funny little image.
A meme?
A little generator. Picture I posted for our We're Live Now tweet, along with that when I retweeted it. That was a joke that I made at Extreme Rules. After Extreme Rules, rather. I didn't think it would come back to haunt me afterwards. I guess it's going to. So, that might be my fault. I may have spoken that into existence. I have a tendency to do this. Apologies. Too powerful. Anywho. Hey, who's what's it?
Also, anyone
AJ Styles versus...
Anyone looking for an update on the Mets? They lost 10-11. They had a 10-5 lead, and they somehow screwed it up. And I watched a movie today where this one character, Allison Hannigan, in Maybe You're the Killer, I think that's the name of it. She said she was talking about things that shouldn't be together, but are unfortunately paired up, and that's the Mets and Eternal Suffering. So that's how I'm feeling right now. That's my mood.
Sorry. You're not joking. Like, they
I'm
genuinely
not joking.
blew that.
They blew that lead. 10-11. No, Diaz was not pitching.
Strickland pitching?
Strickland was not pitching.
Why do you have so many pitchers and all of them suck?
Because we
should be pitching.
We have two good pitchers. One of them is injured. And we have Drew Smith. He's the rookie good pitcher.
It's funny because like last night we played Uno because we decided our friendships among all the three of us that live in this apartment were kind of getting too close, so we wanted to ruin them. So we played Uno for a while, and in spite of my constant winning during that Uno game, the Yankees decided to take their lead and blow it the 8th. I was really upset about it. Then Aaron Judge came back because it's Aaron Judge, and he said, here's a home run, have a good night, I'm going home. And we won. I just don't understand why the Mets can't do that.
Welcome to the baseball podcast. And now back to the Pinfall podcast. First fight of the night.
Thank God it's not. AJ Styles versus Grand Metalik.
Good fight.
So, something. Grand Metalik was in the corner a little while. Then AJ was in the corner for a little while. It was a lot of pushing and shoving for like the first few minutes. And then they started holding hands, which was really sweet until AJ Styles started kicking Grand Metalik. We got a really sick backbreaker from Styles to Metalik that like went just all the way down Metalik's spine.
Mm-hmm.
My dude's not young anymore, so boys. See the chiropractor later. And then we got a massive Styles from massive suplex from Styles to Metalik. The moment Metalik started fighting back after a point, he got a couple punches in. Styles headbutted him.
You see, I'm seeing a lot of disappointment in the chat about this fight, and I'm seeing disappointment from you. And I'm not disappointed because I expected AJ to just completely dominate. And it was a little better than that. So I'm not disappointed. My expectations were low from the start. So
some of us have hopes, Mark.
I didn't think Metalik would be able to do anything.
I didn't really see this as being the fight that AJ would lose on. Hope that like he would look better. The only thing that really made the fight Or rather, I was hoping Grand Metalik would look better. The only thing that made it kind of worth my interest, I guess, was Michael Cole saying that Grand Metalik is used to being able to do fast-paced, like one thing after the other, getting his like movements quicker and quicker. And AJ Styles was just breaking up his flow entirely.
Mm-hmm.
So to have that like insight, I was like, oh, Michael Cole, you're so right. You make so many points. And it made it a little better at the same time. I just want to see AJ get his ass handed to him. I just want to see that. Just once.
It's not going to happen until you have a big name show up. Or if Daniel Bryan comes back. If.
According to his diet, he's not going to get coronavirus, so I don't know why he's, like, staying home.
Oh, God. Oh, God.
Also not sure if his wife had her kid yet, so that might also have something to do with it.
I'm not in the know on that situation at all.
Too busy looking like a mountain man right now.
Yeah, like a lumberjack.
So bad.
Bryan Danielson.
So we got a failed elbow drop from Styles to Metalik, which looked kind of painful because it was just AJ's elbow going straight into the canvas. And Metalik started to kind of get a little bit of a pace going. He got the flying head scissors on Styles. It wasn't worth much at all. Styles dodged his next move. Sorry, Pete, I'm boring you. And then he did like this weird thing where he kind of got his feet up on Styles and looked like he may have been going for maybe a flying head scissors, and then he just kind of fell backwards onto the mat.
I feel like they were implying a counter from AJ. It didn't look like it, but I think that's what they were going for.
I mean, AJ was like back in the corner. Like Metalik was on like the second rope and just went down. I was like,
yeah.
So then Metalik basically went to go for his crossbody, which was kind of the only thing that was getting him up on Styles, and Styles raised his forearms to Metalik. And then we got a calf crusher on Metalik from Styles. And then he tapped out, and I think that was why I was also kind of disappointed, because I don't really like to see a tap out during a title match.
Yeah, I like to see a tap out if it's two submission fighters or two technical fighters. Like if it was Drew Gulak against AJ Styles, I wouldn't mind a tap out. But because you have this larger-than-life wrestler, Grand Metalik, it seems weird to have him tap out. But it is what it is.
I mean, after that, Styles then decides that what he did was not enough, so he decides that he's going to then fight both Lince Dorado, who's standing at the edge of the ring the whole time, and Metalik. Just once more. Doing a whole Timmy Thatch. Tim Thatch. Teaching them a lesson, you know?
Oh, as Milam said, the next evolution of your sign game should be signs of your reaction faces to the various things going on in matches / the show.
I've got to get like another set of canvas boards so I can do more, because I've got one left and I need to use that for predictions, I think. Once I get more of those, because they're super cheap, there will be more. Just like raise one up. Mark will roll his eyes every time. It'll be great. We're all gonna have fun.
It's like those Olympic scorecards, but instead it's just your face.
Oh, I would love that. I would really love that, actually. Now that I might have a job, who's to say how much I can do? I don't explode. Then after that, we had Corbin backstage with Shorty G, which was very weird at first. I wasn't sold on it. By any means.
I'm very much looking forward to the storyline they're setting up.
No, what I'm saying is I wasn't sold on it at first because, first of all, I don't know like why Corbin has suddenly taken on a secondary role of like instigator like a background instigator, like a manager might be, and also wrestling. It's like his all of the last episode was him just being like, "Hey, I'll pay you to kill this man," basically. And then I'll also end of days Matt Riddle because I can. Now he's just kind of taking that to heart. So I respect it. I respect pulling the strings. At first, I kind of thought Shorty G was kind of going to give him the same treatment Cedric Alexander gave MVP when MVP approached Cedric backstage. But Corbin said, hey, it kind of sucks that you're watching this match on TV. You should be out there. Like, you should be wrestling, buddy. You're an Olympian. You can do it. And he was like, nah, I don't know, Corbin. You're kind of an asshole. Why would I listen to you ever? And then Corbin kind of was like, I'll pay you to take Matt Riddle out. And G was like, all right.
It's a better story already than him and Mojo Rawley.
I thought Shorty G was such a pure little man. Still taller than me, but I think he's so small. In my heart, he's small.
Well, I mean, his name is Shorty.
Yeah, true. But I guess Shorty G is also just like, nah, fine. I don't care. The world is my oyster, after all.
Keeps him on Smackdown.
After that, we had Jeff Hardy. I guess we're never going to discuss Nega Jeff.
Oh, God.
Or why he was so comfortable sending his little white contacts behind his eyeballs, which I'm pretty sure you need surgery to pull out afterwards.
Yeah, they showed that. Also, you don't. I've had contacts slip behind my eyes before. You just kind of blink. You kind of blink them back in front, and then you kind of pull them to the center. Anyway, they showed. I don't think they showed this last time how he blinked and the contacts were gone. And that shows that he literally just had a superpower. He literally has an alter ego now. Like, how did this just get pulled out of the air?
It doesn't make sense because Jeff Hardy's whole thing was like, I come out with my face painted. That's Jeff Hardy. And then my face paint slowly melts off because I'm sweating everywhere and it's getting wiped off on the canvas. Whatever. That was always his thing. I don't know why all of a sudden we're just like, Jeff Hardy in his time of need.
It's the contacts.
Becomes face-painted man.
The contacts give the power.
Or perhaps it was all the alcohol that touched his face as he was slid down the bar by Sheamus.
Or maybe the contacted version of himself can handle liquor.
Alcoholism changes a man,
Oh, I feel so bad we're kind of making fun of an alcoholic right now.
Oh, I don't care. You know what? He's the one who signed up for WrestleMania, for WWE to use this whole thing as his storyline. And it just blows my mind because it's like, okay, I get it. Awesome. Good for you. Congrats. I'm glad that you got past all your demons and you're back and you're a fan favorite. It makes sense. You deserve all of the accolades you can get for this. Congrats. However, the thing that throws me a little bit is that WWE is not super careful with how they do heels. And that sounds kind of like wussy when you consider the fact that it makes sense that they're doing this when there's not a real crowd. Regardless, real people are still watching it. Real people, as we've discussed before, oftentimes forget this is all fake. These people don't actually exist. I mean, Jeff Hardy's problems do exist, but Jeff Hardy, the wrestling character, does not exist.
Mm-hmm.
Sheamus, character, does not exist. People don't get that, and all I see are Sheamus, this guy that we liked, kind of been an asshole for a while, but whatever, it wasn't that bad, is all of a sudden coming out and shaming this guy who we also really like for his very real problems. The people that are also hired by WWE, the trainees, or actually I don't know how much they're paid, if they're paid anything, but still. Trainees are also booing him and saying mean things. It's like, gotta be careful. You really do. They're not very careful with it. So I don't feel bad about it at all. I know people are going to take Sheamus seriously, so I'm just going to be an asshole about it. Anywho.
And now we're probably going to get some of Corbin making fun of his sobriety too, or his alcoholism.
Yeah. We did get, and like the thing is that I'm not trying to make fun of like him being sober now, because I know that's a very long road that's very difficult, especially for how deep he was into all of his problems.
Mm-hmm.
But it does make me uncomfortable how much they've used this as like jumping off point for his return against another wrestler as well.
Yeah.
Also, because Sheamus's character was so cringy when he was making fun of Jeff, I was like,
junkie. You junkie. You're just a junkie. You donkey.
Take a shot every time he says it.
Oh God.
So Jeff comes out. He's talking about how he survived the bar fight. He's so happy that he beat Sheamus.
Except he didn't. Nega Jeff did.
Nega Jeff did. However, real Jeff beat up Jeeves, and that's an unforgivable offense. Jail for 1,000 years.
Also, Mike said Jeff Hardy's horrid on the mic, and I agree. And then compare that to King Corbin entering, who is fantastic on the mic.
I cannot stand every time Jeff Hardy comes out and he has the microphone, and I know that there's like not like a fight scheduled for him tonight. Every time he comes out with the microphone, I'm like, dude, stop.
Because it's always the same thing.
It's that's the other thing too, is that it's the same script constantly. It's just him being like, I am an alcoholic. I beat that. And I'm like, all right.
Mike mentioned...
You were a wrestler before that too.
Yeah.
So,
like a big wrestler too.
Where's that story? I want that back.
Mike said he agrees with Corbin. No one wants to hear Jeff's shtick and his sad sap story. And I think that's been a common theme with Corbin, is having these directions, but being completely relatable about them. Because he was right about this, and he was right about Matt Riddle getting a chance at the title on his debut.
So I'm glad that Mike said that, because now I feel a little less like an asshole for what I'm saying. Because Corbin came out and like, we were both sitting there like, yeah, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
You're absolutely right. I am sick of hearing this.
Yeah.
Like, dude, again, what I just said, you were a wrestler for many years before you left to get sober.
Mm-hmm.
You were a wrestler for many years prior to all that. Why can't we just have Jeff Hardy the wrestler back? That's all I want.
Yeah. I mean, we could have just transitioned to him just fighting Sheamus. We didn't need to repeat the same story over and over, and then bring it all back around with the bar fight. You didn't need to mention it every single time. Just have it come full circle.
Now we're getting Corbin becoming sort of an enemy of his. We're also making fun of his sobriety, and it's like,
I wouldn't
someone
even
just
say
hate Jeff Hardy for hating Jeff Hardy.
I wouldn't even say hating Jeff Hardy because of his sobriety. I'd say he's sick of Jeff's like that being Jeff right now, like that being his story. Because I feel like Corbin's whole thing is yelling at the writers. That seems like his whole thing right now, and I love it.
I feel like 9 times out of 10, to me, it feels like they're just like, hey, Corbs, go out there and just say something that's going to make somebody mad. He's like, all right, sure, fine. Takes the mic, goes out there, and he says exactly what I've been thinking for the last week. I respect the hell out of it. And also, the fact that Corbin, like, he did an interview, I think, for Sheamus's workout videos, his Celtic Warrior workouts. And Corbin was like, people will come to the WWE and they want to be a heel because they want to be like this bad guy. but then they don't understand that, like, you are also going to be hated by other people. Like, real people are going to hate you. He's like, but I just accept it. I am happy to be hated by other people. And I was like, okay. Sure. And he puts his heart into being a heel, and I respect it. I respect the hell out of Corbin.
Oh, yeah. Also respect the fact that he shaved his head, so he didn't have to maintain his hair. I love it.
He enlightened me to the fact that they actually have to go through so much to long-haired wrestlers to make their hair look wet. Mm-hmm. Apparently AJ Styles does not subscribe to that at all, because he's just like, my beautiful blown-out locks. Are you having a good day? Anyways. So, yeah, Corbin comes out, says exactly what apparently at least you, me, and Mike have been thinking.
And Milam, too.
He's been whining and crying about his recovery this whole time.
Mm-hmm.
And that he's disappointed in Jeff, and I was like, me too. Absolutely. And then Drew Gulak, the simp in training for Jeff Hardy, comes out and attacks Corbin. I hate saying that about Drew Gulak.
He's a simp in training for Matt Riddle.
Fair, okay. I hate saying that about Drew because I love Drew Gulak, like, my whole heart. Everything inside of me loves him. Mm-hmm. But things have gotten so cringy now with, like, the very thick line between good guys and bad guys in SmackDown. And after Jeff Hardy kneeled in front of the picture of The Undertaker, I lost it. And I can't stand anything that the faces do in SmackDown anymore.
Yeah, it
hurts me inside.
It's because they're supposed to be plain and boring. Meanwhile, the heels are like caricatures or like larger than life. That's why we love Dexter Lumis. That's why we love Bray Wyatt. It's why we love King Corbin and Seth Rollins. Because they're really interesting characters that are supposed to be antitheses of the faces. And like Mike said, they drive the action and story. True.
They're just, like, way better written. I feel like when, like, the writers go out and they're like, let's make a face, they're like, it's nice. And then, like, they make a heel and they're like, he was abandoned by his father when he was 4 and he has been fighting ever since. It's like, chill. I get it.
But that's
He's sick. Awesome.
That's why Drew McIntyre is such a great face, because he has that complexity to his character. It also helps that he's like really loved by Vince McMahon, so he gets all the good treatment.
I keep putting off wearing my Claymore Country shirt because I wore it for like 2 podcasts in a row. And now that he's been RKO'd, I'm like, oh man, am I gonna have like a good moment to wear this ever again?
Can I bring up a little piece of news right now that I just saw? I just came across on Reddit.
Yeah, so, I guess.
Randy Orton tweeted.
Oh, he didn't.
he was playing GTA with his 12-year-old, and she refused to steal a car or run a red light. And he said he must be doing something right.
I hate Randy Orton, the family man, because, like, Randall Keith Orton and Randy Orton, 2 very different men.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want everyone to know that I'm wearing my Sheamus shirt in solidarity. I didn't get to show that off because you can only see the top half. Yeah, when I started getting some money in, I said, hey, what if I bought every single WWE shirt that I could possibly think of? And then we started getting viewers, and I stopped wearing them altogether.
Mm-hmm. What?
I didn't hear you.
I went, mm-hmm.
Oh, but you said something. Now I feel embarrassed. Anyways, so then after Drew attacked Corbin, we had Drew versus Corbin, which was kind of weird because, like, Corbin announced that he had a match later with Drew, and then Drew comes out of nowhere and attacks Corbin, and I was like, if he had just not said that, that would have been like a whole, like, oh boy, Drew's attacking Corbin, now we get a match. It's like, oh, Corbin, you spoiled it. You spoiled it.
I guess, okay, here's a counter that I just thought of. If they had just had Corbin doing his thing with Jeff Hardy, and then Drew comes out and starts fighting Corbin, that seems like Drew's defending Jeff. Whereas if Corbin announces it before, then it's like, okay, it's for Riddle. You know what I'm saying?
I didn't really think it was for Riddle in the first place.
It was, because
I didn't think it was for Riddle until Riddle. Well, until Riddle came out, I didn't think it was for Riddle at all.
Well, Michael Cole or Corey said that they said something about Drew training Matt Riddle once he came from MMA to wrestling. They said that right before or right when he came out or something.
So that during the match.
Did he?
Yeah.
Oh, well, all I know is the way they did it, I think, works with how they did it.
No, you didn't feel that way when we were watching it, because we talked about this.
Yeah, but I just thought of a reason why they did it. It's called changing my mind, Liz.
Disgusting. Anyways. We then had, so what that match started, Gulak got in with an arm sub on Corbin, and kind of, he looked good for like a minute there. He looked really nice. Then Corbin started sending his little knees into Gulak's torso, which made me feel like a little uncomfortable because, you know, Gulak just had internal bleeding, so maybe we could just feel it on the into the internal organs. My personal preference, but you know, I'm not a doctor. Corbin slapped Drew Gulak to the ground and then started kind of working on his shoulders. A nice little half crab. We got a little half crab on Drewby. And Drew kind of like started looking a little crazy-eyed. We haven't seen in a while. And sorry, did you just hear that?
Yeah. What was that?
It was a cat. It was a very unhappy cat. It was not our cat.
Okay, that's what I was mainly wondering.
Those who have only just started watching in the recent weeks, which I think is most of anyone who's watching, there was one podcast, a couple, like maybe very early on, where there was two animals screaming at each other for 90% of the podcast. And we had to just sit here like, anyways, this happened. But so Gulak got back-to-back drop kicks on Corbin, and then a third one, actually. Didn't realize the next bolt down. He started looking really good. He got a flying clothesline to Corbin. And Matt Riddle came out, which I thought was going to help Drew get his win, because like we were talking about how Corbin and Drew have not gotten wins on either end of their careers recently. So Matt Riddle comes out and I was like, oh, okay. Drew's gonna win this because Matt Riddle's distracting. Gulak went to roll Corbs up. Didn't work. We got a full-blown end of days. Absolute
End of days!
Shazam. No, I'm sorry. You were probably distracted by that, weren't you?
End of days is like one of the best moves, in my opinion. I always just want to go back and watch Corbin giving the end of days to Becky Lynch.
Corbin said, I'm a heel to everyone, baby. It does not matter.
He said equality.
And it makes it so much better when like the announcers are like super hyped up on it. Because in that clip, when the guy, I think it's Michael Cole, just starts screaming. Like, end of days! End of days!
I think that was Byron or Tom, actually, because I think that was Raw. Because you had Seth and Becky.
Yeah. Yeah. They all sound the same to me after a certain point.
True.
And the end of days kills Gulak. And then Matt Riddle comes and attacks, and I was like, all right, kind of makes sense. Corbin attacked him last time. Whatever. And then Shorty G. My boy. My absolute short king boy. German suplexes Riddle. Riddle's just down. Riddle's out. He just like looks at Corbin. He's like,
Oh,
Corbin does the same thing back to him. He's like, no, Corbin, he wants you to pay him now.
that was the
That's
best.
the point of the King's Ransom.
That was so
Corbin's
good. I now I'm into Shorty G. Now I'm into him.
I didn't like him for so long. I hated him for a while, and then I was like, oh, okay, all right, sure. Yeah, okay.
No, Mike, he didn't get paid for that one German suplex. I think Corbin wanted a little more than that. I don't think that's.
I think Corbin wants him to play like. I think he wants Shorty G to like Kairi Sane him, in the sense that he wants his career over. But Shorty G thinks that he should be paid. Yeah, sure. You know what? Exactly. But I think Shorty G expects to be paid now. So, see. I mean, they were both doing the money signal, so I don't know if Corbin understood.
Or maybe it's like getting money for each time taking him out.
Oh, we might find out next week, because I guarantee you that we're gonna have a match relating to what happened. What happened tonight? Next Friday. You sneezing over there?
It's an hourly rate that he gets for taking out Matt Riddle.
Taking out Matt Riddle is his new part-time job. You'll have a freelancer, okay?
Also, real quick, I love how Shorty G went from a tag team with the New Day to teaming with King Corbin. That is the quickest switch I've ever seen.
Yep. Circle of life. Which you should know as a Mets fan, because that's Cespedes' walkout song.
I thought you were gonna insult me at the same time.
I can't insult a Mets fan more than the Mets can insult a Mets fan.
Yeah.
So then, speaking of the New Day, thank you for this wonderful segue. We had Biggie versus The Miz. Still upset after Kofi said, "Put your meat on my meat," and then hugged Biggie. It's fine.
And then Biggie rolled down the ramp.
Just log rolled that baby. He was like, all right.
Oh, I love how he does that.
And it was a pretty good match tonight. I wasn't expecting much from it.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
We saw the sweetest little smile from Biggie to start, which my depression. I don't know about you. But I'm vibing on pure serotonin after that. So, it started out with just a lot of like pushing one another. He dodged Miz bouncing off the ropes, and then Biggie spanked Miz.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
He licked his hand and then spanked him, actually. Just to send that one home.
He's putting his meat on Miz's meat.
The cat looked at me the moment you said that. I know I have headphones in, but she just like looked up at me like...
She still heard me.
Yeah, she knows. She knows. But then the Miz slapped Biggie. Just a blank slap to the face.
It was a solid slap.
It didn't feel nice. So Big E yeets the Miz out of the ring and then slams him into the announce table and then slams him into a post and then into the barricade. As the official is checking on the Miz after Big E throws him back into the ring, John does like a flying cannonball, just into Big E, and it was impressive. He was wearing jeans too, so I don't know how he bent his legs because they looked a little tight. So I couldn't do that. I wear high-waisted jeans. That gives you a lot more mobility. But then the Miz baseball slides into Big E's head. It's not looking hot. He went for like a little kind of like body slam frog splash kind of deal on the apron, but the Miz moved out of the way, sending Biggie right into the corner of the apron. And we went to commercial, and when we came back from commercial, Miz looked like he was like just coming back from like an Extreme Rules wrestling match because his back was all red. He had like this massive gash down his arm, bleeding everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
There was nothing that we saw that would have justified what happened, but that's where we were. Then we had two belly to back suplexes, and one sort of belly to back suplex. Michael still called it a suplex. It didn't quite look like that.
Also,
I don't know much, but
The Miz and Morrison, according to Miz on Twitter an hour ago, said that they're putting out another single soon, another song.
All right. Sure. Why wouldn't I? Anyways. Miz pulled out a nice DDT to Biggie, and he wasn't looking good at all at that point. Miz did a couple of running knees to E and just kind of slumped over at that point. Up until the third running knee, when E hooked him with his arm and slammed him back down onto the canvas. And I was like, oh, my boy still has some fight left in him. Okay. He got stuck in a little figure four from the Miz, but still managed to reach the rope. He almost, I missed a second interference, but almost get hit again by the Miz for a third time. And Charles Robinson, senior SmackDown referee, said, hey, ho, get out of the ring. Go backstage. Kicks him out. Ejects him like a baseball umpire might. It was kind of thrilling to me because I was also watching baseball at the same time. And there were no ejections. So this filled that hole in my heart. And the Miz is like crying about it basically to Charles. And he ends up rolling him up. Miz kicks out. Then he gets Miz in this like wild little leg submission that looked, someone with bad hips, looked like it might help me, personally. He basically had Miz's foot here, the rest of his leg draped around his neck. He was just hanging off the side of Big E. And Miz taps out. So Big E wins his first singles match in a hell of a long ass time.
Yeah, but as Mike mentioned, it's not even close to his first time in singles because he was NXT champion, he was an Intercontinental champion, so he's had his time around the block.
Yes, but he's been more recently at least, not doing too hot in the singles matches. Been a couple I think that we were pretty disappointed with, especially during the Cesaro and Shinsuke thing. Yeah. So it was nice to see him finally just kind of like impress me in a way that I was not planning to be impressed today. Mm-hmm. Man. I'm hoping that Kofi and Xavier were watching from their couches, and Xavier was saying, I can't wait to come back to the New Day and not leave WWE forever and ever and ever.
Please, Xavier.
I feel like if he does end up coming back, one, we will not know about it until it happens. And I feel like the moment it happens, we're going to lose our shit. Mm-hmm. Like, I'll be off the walls. I'll be gone. You won't see me. I won't be here for the podcast. I'll be drunk. Anyway.
Also, I'm seeing some Chris Benoit jokes in the chat right now, and I want y'all to stop. I want y'all to knock it off.
Wait, what are they?
They're talking about Brock Lesnar's old submission finisher, the Brock Lock, and Milam said that he killed Benoit with it once, and then Mike said, "Heh, killed Benoit."
Guys!
I want y'all to stop.
It's not too soon. It's fine. It's sort of like the time that he did everything that he did. And then Vince McMahon was like, we're going to miss this wonderful wrestler. And then later that night found out what actually happened. He was like,
They just crossed out wonderful. We're going to miss this wrestler. All right, enough talking about Chris Benoit. If you want to see Chris Benoit, go watch Dark Side of the Ring.
Benoit?
The show sponsored by Dark Side of the Ring. I almost said the show sponsored by Chris Benoit. My God.
I was hoping you would say this show was sponsored by Mick Foley because he's the one who made Dark Side of the Ring. Or narrates, I guess. I don't know if he made it, but
sponsored by Vice.
Considering Mick Foley almost had his shit kicked in by a young and trigger happy Rock.
After watching that video,
Mick Foley is still with us today.
I will never like Dwayne Johnson after watching that video.
So, for people who don't know, which I keep saying, it's basically everyone because the only people who do know are Mark and my cat. I don't sleep anymore for whatever reason. So sometimes, like, when I can't sleep, I end up on, like, top 10 blah, blah, blah wrestling things, YouTube videos. And one night right before Backlash, I ended up on a video of, like, the worst injuries that, like, could have been avoided, but they weren't. And one of them was the Mick Foley Rock. I don't even remember the name of the title. I think it was a payback kind of match or something like that. I don't know. I don't remember. All I know is that's the one where The Rock smashes Mick Foley over the head multiple times with a metal chair.
In front of his wife and kids.
I ended up, like... His wife and kids are watching, so... Sick. And I showed it to Mark later that following day. He was just sitting there like... Okay. All right. Sure. Oh. Anyways. We still have a wrestling that we were talking about, huh?
And we have the best promo coming up.
Jen and Cesaro. They were backstage drinking champagne. Cesaro was wearing a suit that did not fit him, which I was like, Cesaro, you should know better.
I like to imagine that the room that they were having champagne in was the room that they used for The Undertaker's bedroom during Money in the Bank.
4th floor break room?
Yeah.
That'd be nice. I hope so. On the AJ Styles, like, walked into him and was like, get out of here. And Alistair, God bless his soul, put him in the coffin. Memories. Days were simpler back then.
Cesaro's last good moment.
Cesaro wasn't in that.
Or, wow, Alistair's last good moment.
But they're drinking champagne. I guess they're still celebrating their title wins, which, good for them. They then are interrupted by Lucha House Party, who are still alive, thank God, after AJ Styles. Apparently they know some Spanish, because they use their minimal Spanish to make fun of Lucha House Party to their faces. And that's about it. That was basically all that happened there. I don't know why we sat through that, but I guess it's just set up another fight for the two of them.
Yeah, I could see a tag team fight where Lucha goes for the tag team title.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind that at all.
But as Mike said, Lucha House Party are now coming off as the biggest losers of SmackDown. Which, you're not wrong. They've been kind of short-ended this whole time by having very huge lack of story and having them repeatedly going for single stuff like the Intercontinental. Twice, actually. Once during the free-for-all, the massive free-for-all that they had, and now the one-on-one with AJ. And getting demolished each time.
When was that free-for-all?
God, I don't remember. It was right after Elias was killed.
Oh, I was thinking of the one that was like sort of like a cage match almost.
No, that was way back. That was in April, I think.
That was a long, long time ago now.
Even though it's only 3 months or 3 months, yeah.
For Elias.
Are there any tag teams in SmackDown? We've got Miz and Morrison. We've got New Day, or no, not New Day anymore. Cesaro and Shinsuke, Lucha House Party, Forgotten Sons, I think.
Their name rings truer every day. Every day.
Otis and Tucky.
Yeah.
Who else do we have?
In theory, Forgotten Sons still has 2 people that did not say something horrible on Twitter. So.
Also, I think they might be setting up Matt Riddle and Drew Gulak as a tag team. I could see that happening. Yeah, Usos are injured. I think that's really it. Might guess that in the chat.
Yeah. Because Miz and Morrison have been performing as singles. Tucky and Otis haven't been performing as singles, but they also haven't been performing. Lucha, I think they're going back to tag team because they were doing singles for like a hot second the past 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's really just, as far as tag teams that are performing as tag teams, it's Lucha, Tucky, Heavy Machinery, I guess, and Cesaro and Shinsuke.
Mm-hmm.
Not much.
Yeah.
Much to go off of. I'm telling you, dude, if they just... Other 2 Forgotten Sons didn't do anything horrible.
I would like to see them come back. I mean, Steven Cutler was good.
I'd either like to see them come back or see them... First of all, if they come back, they need to change their shtick just a little. They've got to tweak something.
Yeah.
So I'd either like to see them come back or somebody be like, they haven't been around because they also said these horribly racist things in addition to Jackson Riker. And they'll be like, oh, okay, fine. That makes sense. Like...
Yeah. I guess it does make me feel better. Like, Wesley Blake is not, like, a veteran. This is just him being a performer. This is just him being an actor. So... I'm sure he's trying to distance himself from Jackson Riker at this point. But we've talked about this whole situation a lot on this show since it started.
I'm truly amazed that like Vince actually did like say, yeah, Jackson, I'm sorry, dude, you gotta just scamper off, buddy.
I mean, we like to give Vince and WWE as a whole a lot of shit for stuff like that. But I mean, they had that sort of pause for Sons of Anarchy, or wow, Forgotten Sons, because Mike said Forgotten Sons of Anarchy in the chat, and I was like looking at that as I was saying that. Forgotten Sons. He also or I guess Triple H kind of took out Velveteen Dream.
Let's thank Mr. Regal for that. Mr. Regal said, if you can't beat Adam Cole, you can't go after the NXT Championship ever again. Or can't go against Adam Cole. But one way or another, they said, see ya, wouldn't want to be ya.
Yeah.
I respect it.
Yeah.
That goddamn creep. You wanna do your thing?
Allegedly.
Yeah, thank you.
Even though it's not as alleged as we all think, because there's a literal voice recording and pictures.
Allegedly?
It could have just been a simple text, but no, it's a legitimate voice recording.
The announcer woman that used to date Finn Balor before he met Veronica, whatever her last name is, and married her, Kathy something. She ended up dating Velveteen Dream after Finn Balor, and I was like, damn. Really dropped the ball.
Where were we?
So then we had Sheamus backstage. Still wearing his bar fight costume. Not a fan of it. Don't like
I hope
it at
this
all.
is his new look. I hope it is.
I hate it. This shirt was all he needed. He doesn't need the suspenders. It's very weird. I don't know why he's going for like an old-timey brawler vibe.
I want this to be his new look. The suspenders, the trilby, all of it. And I want his like walk away after a fight's over to be putting his hat on their face like he did with Jeff Hardy. That's what I want. I want it.
You hear a very loud yowl, by the way. There is a cat right next to the wheel of my chair right now. She's decided that is where she sleeps. Oh. I just want everyone to know it is not my fault if she screams because I can't control where this chair moves sometimes.
You just hear a shout, "Hey, bitch!"
She's such a jerk because like I feel like I gotta be super careful with every movement because this chair moves so much. So I'm just like, what to hurt my baby?
But also with Sheamus, I want him to do the thing that Kurt Angle used to do, where whenever he was about to do like his signature move, he would take off his arm straps or shoulder straps and then do it. There was one time where he did his signature, took off his straps, did it, got back up. He saw that his opponent was still moving. He put his straps back on, then took them back down and did it again. I want Sheamus to do that. Do a tribute to Kurt Angle.
Angle apparently was rumored to be potentially signing with AEW, and by that I mean AEW loves to be like, oh, this guy was either let go of or has not re-signed his contract with WWE, so we might go after him. And I was like,
I mean, you got to give credit to AEW. I saw a post on Reddit saying that in this pandemic they've given jobs to 60 independent wrestlers.
Yeah. And they also do, like, matches from, like, the times that prior to Chris Benoit's death that WWE was doing. So I don't trust the safety of their workplace. How's that? Also, it's Chris Jericho, so...
Yeah, Chris Jericho is a little bit insane, but he's not the leader of AEW. I forget the name of...
Oh.
Also, we gotta stop bringing up Chris Benoit. We're gonna get taken down. This channel's gonna get banned. Tony Khan, that's who runs AEW. Tony Khan.
I feel like they constantly, like, they were talking about Rey Mysterio. They were talking about how they want to, like, they might be signing him soon because, like, he hasn't re-signed his contract yet with WWE. And I was like, you guys are just pulling names out of a hat now. Like, you're just being like, well, these people were let go and these people haven't signed a contract. Let's see. Rey Mysterio, Kurt Angle, whoever the hell.
Was it CM Punk? Yeah, CM Punk.
They were talking about CM Punk just recently. It's like, guys, just focus on wrestling. And, you know, doing thumbtack matches and whatever the hell you guys do now.
I mean,
they just did one of those too.
To be fair, it's better than those wrestlers just being unemployed.
Yeah, but I feel like they're just saying things. I don't feel like there's anything to back it up. I feel like they're just saying shit. I don't know. I have like a deep-seated distaste for AEW.
And like Mike said, our Smackdown stream is now talking about AEW, so they win at the end of the day.
Oh no! I know. Okay. Anyways, so Sheamus is backstage. I love Sheamus. He says that he should have known better because... God damn it. He should have known better because the bar was home field advantage for Jeff. So then he says that he's like, well, now the rest of the SmackDown locker room has to deal with me. And I was like, okay. So we're never going to find out if you actually hit Jeff with the car. We're never going to find that out.
No, Elias. He hit Elias with the car.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Also,
I should know better. I do want to make one last comment about AEW before we move too far away from that.
No!
I have one last comment. I've made this comment before since we were talking about how frustrating they were. I'm all about safety in wrestling. I love movie stunts and how safe they are in doing massive things. And seeing how careless AEW is, how much they encourage blading reckless blading too. You see Cody taking a hit that seems very light, and then has a face full of blood. It seems like they're much more lax. Although I do love Orange Cassidy as a wrestler.
And that's what I was saying, is that it's like WWE used to have no safety standards, really. Now I think that they've kind of been more strict about how things are done, especially in the way that they banned Randy Orton's punt for a while. And then they said, hey, it's Randy Orton, it doesn't matter. But, like, you know, they banned the buckle bomb. There's a lot of stuff that, like, they have done to their credit has made it safer. And, like, the fact that, like, wrestlers who are safe, like Corbin, get a lot of, like, praise for the fact that they are safe in the ring in spite of being, like, heels and being monsters. I like that because I don't feel like I'm watching, like, that's why I don't like watching football, because I feel like I'm watching people, like, ruining their lives. And that's why I have trouble with AEW, because, like, yeah, the part of my brain that likes watching, like, murder mysteries and shit like that, part of my brain that likes that stuff is like, ooh, let's see what horrible things could happen today. It's like, yeah, okay, that's cool, but, like, at the same time, you gotta remember, again, these are real people, and what they're doing could be super damaging to them. And I get it, like, it's for the thrill. That's probably why they're getting a lot of viewers, is because they're doing thumbtack matches. They're doing stuff that requires blading. They're doing eye for an eye. Like, John Moxley's whole thing is holding, like, a Negan-type baseball bat or whatever. It's like...
Yeah,
I would prefer to...
It's just appealing to the traditional wrestling fan. I think that's where they're getting their viewership from, is the people that think WWE's gone soft, when really, you don't need a ton of blood to make wrestling interesting.
For example, like, you and I were talking about it, what was it now? 2 Smackdowns ago, I think? When John Morrison, like, didn't see him get, like, super injured in any real way. Then, like, when he was just laying there and, like, he was limping out, and there was that awkward timing where, like, Lacey was walking out while John Morrison, like, was being, like, carried out by The Miz. You're both like, oh, was that supposed to... Like, it was weird, and because it was weird, it kind of made us, like, think, like, oh my god, is he actually injured? And I don't know. A lot of the stuff that happens in wrestling that, like, is potentially life-threatening doesn't require blood.
Yeah.
Like,
just look at Randy Orton.
Exactly. Or, like, when Tyson Kidd got Samoa dropped, I think. What I think that's called? The Samoa drop? By Samoa Joe, and, like, completely compressed his spinal cord and nearly died. There was no blood. He was just nearly paralyzed for the rest of his life, if not dead. I'm sure, like, it was a dark match when it happened, but still, at the same time, it's like, it's just as scary and just as thrilling, okay? I don't need to see somebody with blood coming down their face.
Yeah.
Anywho. Back to tasteless things.
Sheamus.
Lacey versus Naomi.
Oh, okay.
I still feel like this has a bit of an edge that I'm not comfortable with, because Lacey's so traditional values and she's fighting Naomi, and I'm like,
I get what they're trying to do, how it's supposed to be like, you know, like traditional values versus new, like, youth, that kind of thing. I'm sick of this story. I am sick, especially since it stemmed from the karaoke. I'm so sick of it.
So let me run through it real quick, because it wasn't a long match, but let me run through it real quick, just because, one, we need to run through it quickly, and two, because I've got a lot of shit to say.
I think you can easily sum up this match by just saying hair.
Yeah. So Lacey has an obsession with, like, pulling Naomi by her hair, tying Naomi's hair around the ropes, putting Naomi's hair between the steel steps. Hair is very easily moved around under heavy objects, by the way. It's not how that works. Someone with incredibly long hair, I would know. And also, if you're wrestling and doing something that requires that much physical impact, I really think putting somebody's hair where it might get pulled out a little bit, like some piece of hair might get pulled out, I really think that's gonna stop them and stop me. So Lacey does all this stuff with Naomi's hair. Naomi kicks Lacey in the head twice, and I was like, all right, fine, he deserved it. Lacey sort of did a weird kind of DDT sort of. Naomi did this actually to Lacey. It was like a weird DDT kind of thing. Even Michael Cole was like, I don't know what to call that, but it gets the job done. I was like,
oh
god. Lacey threw Naomi into the buckle, and then Lacey went for the woman's right, but Naomi countered with a backslide to pin her. And she walked out also, by the way. Mark didn't see this. I saw it, and I wanted to not see it. Rick Buggs, the bane of my existence, the man that I wish didn't exist. And that's saying a lot, because there's a lot of men in this world that I wish didn't exist, and he is pretty much at the top of the list, minus one or two people.
Minus people who have committed actual crimes.
Yeah. Rick Buggs is at the top of the men who have not committed crimes list that I want off the earth. Naomi's like walking out to her music, like walking backstage rather, to her music after winning. And Rick Buggs is thrusting in her direction. Sort of like a Michael Jackson thrust, like hand over the crotch thrusting. But still, I had to see it. And I said, hey, Rick, why is that what you do? Why is that the thing you do? Because it's weird.
For those unaware of who Rick Buggs is, if you ever look in the crowd of any WWE brand, he's the trainee who's always making moves at the camera. He's always trying to shine the spotlight. Long brown hair. I think he wears a hat or something.
Oh, he sometimes has like a bandana on, I think.
Bandana, that's right. Always trying to showboat in front of the camera. And even like when there was that moment, I think with Seth Rollins and somebody on Raw. Buddy.
When Seth was streaming at Buddy last Monday.
Yeah, when that whole thing was happening, Buggs was like, had his hands on the plexiglass right in between the two and had like his face trying to like look between the two. And then like, God, he's just so distracting, so annoying. And it's not even like the level that a fan would have. Like a fan would just be like trying to wave, trying to like reach for the wrestler, stuff like that. This is him trying to be like, notice me, I'm on camera, notice me. It's annoying. Hate it.
The literal worst. This is a very anti-Rick Buggs podcast. An anti-Rick Buggs podcast, but it's a completely pro-Mike Rome podcast. I just wanted to make that distinction early on.
Sorry, I just saw a tweet.
Stop seeing tweets.
WWE on Fox tweeted, how would you grade AJ Styles' run as Intercontinental Champion thus far? And Sami Zayn quoted it and said, F for fraudulent.
Sami Zayn! Get the hell back on SmackDown so I know what the hell happened.
We need Sami Zayn and his ska back right now. He is...
I remember...
He's the best human being in WWE. Him and Kevin Owens might be tied. I love them both.
Sami Zayn, like, throws my head around because I watched a video with him in it once and I heard his accent, which is French Canadian, but does not sound French Canadian at all. It sounds almost Scottish or English. So that screwed me up a lot. And then, like, I did not like him for like a whole month. I think the first month that we like back into everything when we first started watching again together. I hated him. I didn't realize I hated him as much as I did, but it became visceral. And then slowly I started to like him again.
Yeah, it was...
I've heard apparently that's...
We saw Sami when he was manager of Cesaro and Shinsuke. And that was our first exposure to Sammy. Our first exposure to any kind of manager in wrestling. We thought he was annoying because he was doing a good job as a heel. And then we got to see Zelina as a manager. And we put in the comparison. We love Zelina. We love Zelina outside of wrestling. She's just... We wish her character was more. But then we started watching old videos of him wrestling like The Miz and having like singles runs. And he's wonderful. And also, Sammy outside of wrestling is an amazing human being.
Yeah, it's funny because I heard a lot of people talking, like I watched a lot of videos, and like a lot of people have said like, I hated Sammy when I first met him. I hated him so much. And then suddenly I just started liking him. He didn't change anything about his personality whatsoever, but just suddenly I started liking him. And I was like, all right, well, I guess my reaction wasn't much different from everyone else. However, that is an interesting tweet.
Yes.
But it also brings me off track because I wanted to say something, which is, I am so sick and tired of seeing hair pulling in the ladies' wrestling matches. It makes me think of like every stereotypical catfight trope. And nobody was pulling AJ Styles' hair. The only time that they ever get yelled at for pulling hair in men's wrestling is when like they grab the other person by the head. They're holding onto their hair while like they try to like slam their face into the canvas or some shit.
Mm-hmm.
You never see that in men's wrestling, and trust me, there's plenty of men that could have their hair pulled. Edge, Drew, AJ Styles, Matt Riddle. So many names come to mind. Graham Metalik. So many people. And guess what? Nobody does, because apparently that's all they're allowed to do in women's wrestling. That was 90% of Lacey's moves tonight.
And speaking of women's wrestling and everything wrong with it, I think our next two promos kind of solidifies that. Even though they're great promos, I think this feud has gone on long enough, and I'm kind of tired of everything about it. Minus one person.
Okay.
Talking to the cat?
Sneezing a lot. Yeah, she's sneezing.
Oh,
Sneezy little baby. Stupid sneezer. Anyways, I don't know how I feel about them. In theory, I feel sort of the same. But also, I don't. Let me explain.
Sonia's amazing, right?
Can you not jump 14 pages ahead of me? Anywho. So, I would have more of a problem with this if it weren't for the fact that Mandy was the one to suggest the storyline. So, because it was created by her, I don't feel as weird about it.
Mm-hmm.
The next promo was Mandy and Otis backstage. And they start talking about sexy time. Yes. That seems like what they were saying. And Mandy says that she's going to get her makeup on, and that she and Otis need to meet like right back where they just were in however many minutes. As they both part ways, who's there but Miss Sonia?
I love
Sonia
her.
Deville.
She's so good.
I have missed her for so long. I Wonder Woman.
But
Woman of my dreams.
But this story.
Yeah, but Sonia.
It should have ended when Dolph went to Raw.
But Sonia's.
But Sonia.
Love of my life.
I love her.
So pretty. I wish she would be this mad at me for dating someone else.
I know you said not to reference any other tweets or posts or anything, but
This podcast, by the way, I just want to say that when I drag the podcast on for hours on end, you always yell at me. But now that you're the one that's like staring at your phone while we're doing this, you're just like, anyways, I also need to detract for another 5 seconds.
Well, no, this will literally take 5 seconds. Sonia just posted on Instagram a picture, like a picture of her. Here's the picture. Just that.
I swear to God.
And she said, "Hey Mandy, here's a super flattering pic of my long natural hair. But, not to worry, I'm sure a bob cut will look great on you." I think you once told me you've been growing your hair out since you were 14, I believe. Wow, only 16 more years and you'll get it back. Oh, God.
Selma. She's such a bitch. She's perfect. Anyways. So then we go to commercial. We come back. Mandy is putting makeup on backstage. Sonia left hooks her out of absolutely nowhere. Then, actually, I'm gonna dive through most of this, and then I'm gonna talk about the thing that we're gonna talk about. So don't talk about anything for 5 seconds.
Okay.
You're gonna say exactly what I want to say. So Sonia left hooks Mandy, and makeup, like Mandy somehow manages to get red lipstick not only all over her face but all down her hair, and I just don't get that. Never been in that experience, wouldn't know. And then Sonia decides that she's going to cut Mandy's hair. Which, first of all, she does a really good job. For cutting the hair of somebody who's kind of flailing around a little bit. So if she ever wants to come by and just cut the 14 extra inches that grew on my hair during this quarantine, she is more than welcome to. Although it was very obvious that she was also just cutting extensions because they were kind of a different color from the rest of her hair. But that's fine. And then naturally there's a ref in every room. So the refs come in, they stop her before she gives Mandy a buzz cut. The thing that is curious, or interessante, if you will, is the whole time, just in the same way, the last time Mandy was on screen, there was a bit of a glitch. A little glitch effect. A little glitchy poo.
A lot of it this time.
This whole story broke. This whole story got to the point that it's at because of the hacker, who was supposed to be Mustafa Ali. Not anymore,
allegedly.
Yeah, it was pretty much decided that it was supposed to be him, and then he went silently from Smackdown to Raw during this pandemic, so it's not him anymore. But there was a glitch several times to a degree that was like obvious.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't just like our TV freaking out, which happens occasionally. But that makes me wonder. Like, it happened last time Mandy was on TV, when Otis accidentally stole Corbin's crown. And, like, that was the time also where Mandy, like, it glitched and Mandy was suddenly gone from the screen.
Mm-hmm.
Which was weird. But it happened again multiple times during this fight. Which makes me wonder if they're still trying to push a glitcher or a hacker angle on this. If they are, cool. If they are, tell me what happened with Sheamus, Jeff, Elias.
I've got a bad feeling, especially after how this promo ended. I've got a feeling it's either Miz or Morrison that's the hacker. Because they just showed up. They were just there.
So did Tucker and Otis.
Yeah, Tucker and Otis showed up because Otis is dating Mandy.
Yeah, but where were Miz and Morrison the last time that the glitches happened? Nowhere. Might be Mandy.
You think the hacker's Mandy? Mike said the hacker's Tucker because they're out of ideas, and that's probably the right answer. If we're being honest...
Yeah, alright, actually, you make a point.
Yeah, that's probably it. But it was mentioned... I thought you were going to mention this. It was mentioned in the chat. But this is just more woman on woman hair stuff.
True.
Because
I overlooked it because it was Sonia.
Yeah, but also it's more hair. Because that's all that women are, just hair.
I feel like the only place that we get like any real like not vaguely misogynistic writing is NXT now.
Yeah.
Raw, even like they were like, oh, Asuka's fighting for like the literal accomplishment of her life, and her friend's getting beaten up, so she's like, oh, I gotta be there for my friend. Oh. And Bayley and Sasha are just motivated by dominating every other woman, while Bayley literally has like a Karen-ass haircut, so it's like,
I think Mike said it well. It's almost as if the writing team in WWE is all men.
I applied to be part of it. I want to say I applied. I brought them a good eye, and they said no. Actually, they didn't say anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it definitely is a woman. Almost no doubt about it.
Milam said there was a woman on the writing team, and she was doing the Otis Mandy storyline, and then she got fired. Isn't that the state of everything right now?
I swear to God.
You want to move on to the last fight? Oh, man.
Yeah, what's going on? Yeah, by the way, that promo ended with Kayla Braxton suddenly backstage also. Commenting on Mandy.
Yep.
All right. Sure. That's normal. Pete, what'd you do? What'd you do?
She broke the lights.
She just buried at me. I just got yelled at.
Awful.
Speaking of writing that's driving me absolutely insane, that also has to do with women. The roller coaster of my evening.
I have opinions on this fight. I have opinions. I don't know if you want to get through the fight first before I give said opinions.
Let's talk about the fight, and then let's talk about the thing that happened after the fight, okay?
Before I give my opinions?
So we can compartmentalize. Depends on what your opinions are about.
It's on the quality of the fight.
Okay, you can give your opinions about the actual fight when we talk about the actual fight, and then when we talk about the thing that happened afterwards, we'll treat that as a separate bit.
Okay, sounds good.
Shake. So we get Greg Hamilton. Just not make room. Room's my hero. Anyways, so Nikki launches Bayley across the ring and body slams her, and she did a really good job starting off. She dodged her a couple times. She was looking really good. She was looking too good. How I usually, if they're looking good in the beginning, they're looking bad at the end.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of assumed. Get a leg drop on Nikki's neck from Bayley. And then you at least got to see a couple good crossbodies. And a sweet little DDT. And at one point, Nikki sent Bayley off of the apron. And Sasha came and consoled her. And immediately we knew. Bayley had one of Sasha's rings because Sasha didn't have one of her hands was naked. And there was like kind of like some grappling that happened when all of a sudden Nikki comes out with a ring on her hand and she's like, Michael Cole's like, she's got to get rid of that ring before the ref sees her. I was like, the ref is like right in front of her. She's holding out her hand like, oh my God.
You see, I never think of the refs as complete morons until we get to Sasha and Bayley fights.
It's impressive. It's like suddenly like they're just like under a spell. Yeah, the ref like is quite literally standing close enough to her. Is taller than Nikki too, so could 100% see the ring. But Nikki just like takes it and throws it at Sasha. I was like, all right. She suplexes Bayley. And then Nikki manages to throw Bayley face first into the announce ring. Bayley got up onto the announce desk. They got up on the announce table, and Nikki took her feet out, so she goes face first and throws her into the barricade. Bliss pulled Sasha off the ring. And Nikki was looking great. She rolled her up. The backslide. Bayley kept kicking out. Bayley managed to still retain the title at the end of the day. Because nothing's going to stop them until SummerSlam comes along, I'm sure.
That's not even, like, Bayley winning wasn't the problem I had here. The problem I had, it was a great fight up until this point because you had Nikki seeing through the cheating and you had her looking great for most of the fight, but she just lost out of nowhere. Bayley just did one move and suddenly she was out cold. Like, there was no progression to Nikki losing. It was just Nikki looking great and then flat on her face, not moving.
I take notes pretty much throughout every second of the match. Every time a move happens, I try to take a note to keep track of what's happening. Because I'm not like Mark. I will forget instantly. Whatever happened between Bayley and Nikki to give Bayley the upper hand happened so fast that my two notes between prior to the pin and after the pin are Nikki rolls her up again, backslide, a lot of kicks. Second note, Bayley still retains. That's how fast it happened. That's how out of nowhere it was. Because Nikki looked like she was getting like a second win. She looked like she was there. She looked like she was ready.
It didn't even look like she ran out of her first win. It didn't look like Bayley was kind of coming up in any way. And then suddenly she just pinned her out of nowhere. Like, at no point watching, if you just watched the whole thing up until that last move by Bayley, you would assume that Nikki just dominated the whole thing. And the problem is, we're going to get 50,000 more of Nikki challenging Bayley for the title over and over again, because that's all they can do right now at this point. It's just going to be minus a certain someone after this next part.
And somebody even made a comment when I was like looking through for my news headlines for tonight. Apparently, Trish Stratus made a tweet of like her action figures from Evolution. Because it's action figures of her and Lita, and she made it like she signed it to Sasha and Bayley from your role models. Somebody was like there was a whole article like, oh, are they gonna challenge Bayley and Sasha next? And I was like, you haven't seen them in a hot ass minute. No, they aren't. There is nothing shocking or surprising that's going to happen anytime soon in women's wrestling. In the WWE. I can guarantee you that right now, unless they call someone up from NXT. There's no chance in hell.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, I know exactly who they could bring up from NXT. They'd probably bring up Dakota Kai and Raquel, if anyone. Or Mia Yim. It depends on whether they want to bring a single or a tag team.
I got Dakota and Tegan confused for a second. I was like,
oh no.
Did they bring up this? Want to round this out real quick? Want to just let me go on you. Home. Hi, yes, I'm sorry.
One of my favorite parts of the night.
Yeah, the part of the night that made it almost worth it, but also
it makes me I'm looking forward to next week now.
I didn't realize how PMSy I was until, because like this has happened multiple times now. I'm PMSing and like something like big happens in wrestling, my eyes tear up and I don't know why. Just like overwhelmed with emotion all of a sudden. I'm like, okay, sure, I guess. That happened tonight. Wasn't upset by anything, but all of a sudden my brain was just like cry and I was like, okay. So I was like, oh, okay, whatever. Bayley retains. Call it a day. And then I looked at my clock and I was like, there's still 4 minutes left. Okay. So Nikki remains in the ring.
No, Alexa.
Alexa comes up to comfort her.
Oh, right. Sorry.
I took the notes. Alexa comes up to comfort her. And he's like, hey, no offense, but fuck off. Alexa's like, no, I'm your best friend. Let me comfort you. And Nikki's like, literally, no. Alexa keeps pushing it, so Nikki shoves her and walks off, leaving Alexa alone in the middle of the ring. Still like 2 minutes left, and I'm like, okay. And then the lights start going down. And my thought was nowhere near what actually happened. I thought, oh, the hacker's gonna come back.
I thought the hacker, or like, well, they're shutting down for the night. And they're just leaving Alexa there.
And all the trainees.
It didn't help that the announcers like didn't acknowledge anything at all.
That made it more cryptid, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that just felt like, oh, we're all alone here. Okay, cool. Corey Graves and Michael Cole aren't here to help us.
They're dead.
Yep. The lights go out, and then the apparently stationary red lights that SmackDown keeps on hand just in case.
The emergency lights.
Come on. And I said, oh, no! Oh, no! Because all of a sudden there's the Fiend in his little pinstripe Beetlejuice pants. And, that was his fingers down Alexa Bliss's throat.
That was weird. But Mike said the crowd was silent too. I don't think the crowd was silent. Although it was silent, I think they cut out the audio for that. Cause
it was muffled. It almost felt like we were in a bottle. That's what it sounded like to me.
Yeah, it was like muffled, but I think for like a short moment, they might have actually fully cut audio.
Yeah, it was really quiet, and then I don't remember why I could tell the audio was muffled, but there was one point where I heard something, and it just kind of felt like we were in like a bottle.
It was Bray Wyatt. I think Bray Wyatt said like, let me in. Or was that during Firefly Funhouse that he said that? He said it at one point today.
He said it in Firefly Funhouse. He may have said it again. I don't know. All I know is that it was so...
I like this. I like this last bit a lot. I loved it.
Yeah, I really did. I liked it a lot too. I just... It
gives Alexa something to do besides just watch Nikki fight Bayley over and over.
All I can ask for. All I can ask for from this is to see Alexa Bliss and Braun Strowman back together again.
Well, Braun Strowman's probably dead.
Screw Ryan Cabrera.
Oh, poor Ryan.
I don't care about him. I don't care about him. You can go hang out with The Miz or something. I don't know what he does in his spare time.
Hang out with The Miz?
I'll find some other girl. Yeah. But Alexa Bliss is so small, and Braun is so tall. I respect that relationship. I want them to be back together again. That's my official diagnosis of tonight. Thank you.
Yeah? Do we want to move into our next segment? Next sign? Mike said, Fiend avenged the dude who got rejected by the $400 cameo. Good guy, Fiend.
No! No!
Oh.
Fiend is the guy that spent $400 for the cameo.
No, that was Braun.
Let's be honest. Fine, I'll take it.
Best of the night.
I'm scared. It makes scary. Like my blue of the
Didn't get stuck in your hair this time.
Smackdown? Huh?
Didn't get stuck in your hair this time.
Oh. That one was still on the desk, and that's why I was having so much trouble, because I was like, but the and was right next to it. I worked very hard.
Best of the night? No, Pete's.
Yeah, that's fair. She's under the bed again for the third time.
Disgusting. Promo.
Alright, run it back. Gotta make it quick, because we've been doing this for... Holy shit.
Actually, not as long as Wednesdays. Wednesdays was 3 hours long. Alright, so, promo of the night. So we start off with the teasers. I'm not going to consider that a promo, because I was dumb. We can all agree that that is the bottom of the barrel here. Then we had Firefly Funhouse, which was alright. Firefly Funhouse is normally amazing. It's normally my pick for promo of the night for SmackDown, but it seemed a little underwhelming today. I'm looking forward to getting Frankenstein Bray back, though. I want him to come back after seeing him at Extreme Rules. And then we had the promo with Shorty G and Corbin, which is a good start to this story that I'm very much looking forward to. Then we had Jeff Hardy talking in the ring with Corbin entering, followed by Drew Gulak. Only thing interesting about this promo was Corbin coming in and giving his 2 cents. After that, we had Cesaro and Shinsuke having a promo in the Champions Lounge with Lucha House Party. And I gotta be honest, this was really funny. I very much enjoyed seeing Cesaro being his ridiculous funny self and Shinsuke adding to it. And seeing them in nice suits too was also really funny.
Cesaro's didn't fit him.
Yeah, a little bit. I think it also comes from him being jacked. But yeah, it was funny. It kind of gives a hint that we're going to see Lucha House Party versus those two. But nothing really else. Then we had the promo with Sheamus, which only gives me hope that he will continue to wear that outfit for the rest of his wrestling career. And then we had the 2 Mandy promos with Sonia and Otis. I tempted to give this promo of the night, but there's 2 things kind of holding me back, and that's the fact that I'm sick of the story. I'm tired. I'm really tired of the story. I want them both. I want all 3 of them to move on. And the fact that they brought Tucky back to just be a part of the story throws me. Like I said, it should have ended once Dolph went to Raw, because now Sonya's all alone in this battle. But it did give us a little more of the hacker. It lets us know that he's back. And we're kind of getting Miz and Morrison back involved in the story a little bit. I know they were just used for Miz TV. But I don't know. It's tough. Seeing Sonya come back was like the highlight of this. It's between this and the Cesaro Shinsuke promo. What's that face for?
You're not including. You're not considering the.
Oh, the Bray Wyatt part. The Bray Wyatt. That was good.
I mean the Bliss and Fiend part. That's what I mean.
Yeah. The Fiend part. That was good.
I consider that a promo.
Yeah, I just hadn't written it down because it was so late. It was good. I enjoyed seeing the Fiend again. But I don't know what Fiend was doing, sticking his fingers in Alexa's mouth.
Letting himself in.
Or maybe him and Braun are fused, and that was Braun sticking his fingers in Alexa's mouth.
Oh, because I don't want to think of it that way. That makes it feel uncomfortable.
But I feel like there wasn't enough there to really consider it promo of the night, in my opinion. The only thing it really gave us was Fiend being back and Alexa now being part of the storyline. But I do think that tops the Cesaro Shinsuke promo. But I do think that I want to give it to the Mandy and Sonia promo, because we got to see Sonia back, which was absolutely the highlight of it. And then Miz and Morrison's addition was also really fun. The hacker being hinted at was a great addition. I am just tired of this story. I want it all to go away. But this night of not standout promos, that one I think stands out the most, in my opinion.
I think that is a bold and inaccurate prediction. I'm going to derail you for 5 seconds.
Oh boy.
Because you also did not mention the fact that somebody replied to Sami Zayn's tweet saying, "At least in you, we have an intercontinental champion who believes that the planet which hosts the continents you are representing is indeed a sphere." You overlooked that.
I didn't see that. I didn't click on the tweet.
Also, I don't agree with you at all. I think you're completely wrong. I think you're crazy. I think that while seeing Sonia was amazing, and I love her, and I cut off my arms for her. At least in the Fiend Alexa Bliss promo, we got a storyline that I knew, like, I'm still trying to figure out, like, where it's going.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of got to follow up to at least a couple of my questions. And we opened up a new chapter for a story involving a girl that at this point has not become like misogynistic in any way whatsoever. So I had to go with that. I loved that promo. I thought that it was exciting, interesting, and I felt like it gave us something new to look forward to, like we haven't been seeing.
Yeah, I'm just so hesitant to pick it because there wasn't really much there.
There was enough.
But there's also so much I'm sick of in the Mandy Sonia Otis storyline that just makes me so annoyed.
My viewpoint for that is that we have been disappointed multiple times with that storyline and with the hacker storyline. Because the hacker storyline, it feels like that boyfriend that's like, you're super in love with him, but he never texts you back, and then suddenly he does one day, and you're like, oh my god, so you text him really quickly, and then he doesn't text you back again for months. So, to not fall into that trap again, I'm going to go with the storyline that I only had to wait an episode to get more of. Whereas the hacker storyline, which I think is what makes the Mandy Sonia thing more interesting. Hacker storyline has been so inconsistent and so there's no promise that we're actually going to find out what happens there.
Yeah. In
the same way that like they hinted at all this mystery around Jeff Hardy hitting Elias with his car. We've got nothing out of that.
At this point, the hacker needs to be somebody big, considering how long they've been waiting. Like, it's got to be like a CM Punk or like, God, I don't even know who it could be out of some big names.
CM Punk is definitely not coming back ever again. I'm pretty sure he hates WWE. Like at this point, like if it's not Roman Reigns or something stupid like that, like I don't expect it to be Roman, but also at the same time, that is like the biggest caliber of human being I could imagine it being, and me not being like, oh, whatever, who cares?
But going back to promo of the night, you know, because I hate the storyline so much, I'm gonna side with you on this. As much as I'm gonna get,
we haven't had enough time to hate the Bray Alexa storyline yet, so. As
much as I'm gonna get shit from chat, specifically from Mike, I gotta go with you. Mike has been arguing for this promo, for the Mandy Sonia promo this whole time, saying he's crying.
I've overpowered you, Mike.
So I'm gonna go with The Fiend.
Thank you. Do you want to like discuss who your fighter of the night is?
No.
Okay. Let's call it a night. Back it in, boys.
Fighter of the night. Okay. So we started off AJ Styles versus Grand Metalik, which my expectations were low for. Because I haven't been really impressed with any of these Intercontinental fights. Much at all. But my pick here is Grand Metalik. Because AJ wasn't the same AJ he was when he was doing his last title defense against Matt Riddle, he was massive in that fight. Here, he was just very simple. When you're fighting somebody like Grand Metalik, you gotta match that level. And even Grand Metalik wasn't super impressive. He was just taking hit after hit and got the occasional nice looking move, but that's really it. There was nothing there, but I mean, out of the two, Grand Metalik is really the only one who came up with anything. And then you had Drew versus Corbin. I picked Drew Gulak for this. Because although we got an end of days from Corbin, Drew, you could see his heart was all in that match. He was super aggressive with all of his moves. And you could even see his face, how angry he was, because he was fighting for his friend. It very much showed his level of character there, which I love. I love seeing that, just based on facial expression, as opposed to just outwardly saying something about your character. Yeah, I really enjoyed how Drew Gulak was fighting. I wouldn't say it's the best we've seen of Drew Gulak, but it's still better than that Fatal 4-Way where he looked absolutely non-existent.
He's coughing up blood. Nice.
Even before that, he was bad. And then we had Biggie versus The Miz, which was awesome. I'd say even The Miz was good here, but my pick is Biggie for this fight. I mean, his face for the whole fight was like wonderful. He had a perfect mix of comedy and seriousness, because now he realizes he needs to take this seriously, because he's not the New Day. He is representing himself right now. He needs to take his rise up very seriously. And he definitely showed that. And the combination of it when he rolled down the ramp and then was very serious when The Miz slapped him in the face. It was a beautiful mix, and his moves were also wonderful. We had some great techniques from him. And yes, as Mike said, the stretch muffler finisher, which is apparently the name of his finisher.
Yeah, I remember Michael Cole saying that too. It just looked like a lot was happening there.
And then Lacey Evans versus Naomi. I picked Naomi, but there's really nothing in this fight besides hair. Naomi got some good hits. I'm tired. I want to move on. So we have Nikki versus Bayley. And Nikki, there's no argument here. Nikki is the best fighter in this fight. I don't know how they haven't written her to have the title yet, because it's absolutely ridiculous when you see her performing the way that she is right now. It's insane. I'm tired that they just keep teasing it, and they're going to keep having her go for it over and over and over until she gets it, because at this point she deserves it. I want to just hand her the belt as it is. She was absolutely amazing this fight. She was completely fired up. She had so much adrenaline in her, and that exuded from her character. She had an incredible DDT off the a flying DDT off the belt buckle. Tornado DDT, thank you. And I'm a sucker for DDTs. Nobody doesn't like Johnny Gargano. But yeah, Nikki was outstanding in this fight. I just wish that she would come out on top for once. So that's all the fighters today. Obviously it's not Grand Metalik. It's not Naomi. I'm torn between Drew, Biggie, and Nikki. Nikki was on fire today. She was unstoppable, like, until she was stopped. Biggie was 100% character throughout. I think more so than Drew Gulak. I think everything Drew did, Biggie did better. So I'm crossing Drew Gulak off the list. This is actually really tough right now. Between Biggie and Nikki Cross. Both who have never been picked for Fighter of the Night for us. Mm-hmm. I'm seeing chat chanting Big E over and over. But I'm going with my own opinion right now, and I'm saying Nikki Cross is my pick for Fighter of the Night.
Bold.
You said bold?
I'm saying Big E. Yeah.
Are you saying Big E?
Yeah.
Oh. I'm tempted to go your way because he was very close for me.
Plus, he, like, proved... I think, like, I was also excited because, like, he proved that, like... You know, there's a lot of times where you kind of feel like, oh, Nikki's kind of resting on her laurels of having the help from Alexa Bliss and being able to tag someone in. And I feel that way a lot with tag teams. Like, when they go singles, I, like... You used to have somebody to break up your fights a little bit, but now you don't have that. And now it's, like, a little harder. But Big E came out there just as he always does, like, regardless of whether he had Kofi on his side or Kofi and Xavier on his side. He came out there the same as he always does, and he came out there with a lot of passion, a lot of fire. And even when he, like, looked like he was down and out, like, basically ready to just be pinned, he still came through and hooked The Miz and slammed him into the canvas. And I think that was, like, that was a great moment of, like, it really looked like you were dead, dude. You looked like you were dead in the water. You came around and you were like, nah, actually, I'm still here. So, I liked him.
Alright, I'll go with you on this. I'll say Big E. I want to shout out The Miz because he did have some great moves in there. He did perform really well, even with the help of John Morrison. But his character performance was just as good. I want to see more of this Miz that has the character thrown in but can also fight really well, until his best friend is taken out of the arena and it starts crying.
We've lost that Miz since he started tagging with Johnny.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily want to see them split up in any way, but, like, we have not seen solid singles Miz in a minute.
Oh, yeah. Oh. Especially since he's just been used for, like, faux enhancement talent, like going after Braun repeatedly. Yeah. I want to see the same Miz that fought Sami Zayn for the Intercontinental... Was it the Intercontinental Championship? Or the WWE Championship?
Intercontinental.
Yeah, the Intercontinental. I want to see that Miz again. The same one that came out with Maurice.
Maurice. And we got his old walkout thing today, which was cool.
Oh, yeah. Hopefully this is...
So we haven't seen that in a minute.
Yeah. And hopefully we see Maurice soon. I miss her. Now, Fight of the Night?
You're better off watching reruns of Miz and Mrs., I think.
Well, new season might be coming out soon, I think.
I hope so, because at least what's on Hulu right now is, I think, only half of the second season.
I've been seeing them shooting more on Instagram, I think, for season 3.
I gotta find out where the rest of that is streaming, because, like, I know for a fact that, like, where they left off was years ago, I think. I'm sure they film everything and then they put it out, so there's at least a years worth of separation between a lot of the stuff that happens, but
yeah.
But yeah, that being said, fight of the night.
Fight of the night. Okay. So we start off AJ Styles versus Grand Metalik. Also, I want to start off with my point system. The highest ranked match here, based on numbers alone, was Nikki versus Bayley, with AJ versus Grand Metalik as a close second. No, that's not how the quality lined up at all. First match, AJ versus Grand Metalik, was awful. I especially after the Matt Riddle AJ Styles fight, which was incredible, really good fight. This was just seeing the bottom of the barrel from both wrestlers. And that was an A-tier match.
Boys.
And then we had Drew Gulak versus King Corbin, a D-tier match. Yeah, I know, because D-tier. Yeah, because both wrestlers have suffered incredibly from WWE not caring about them. This was a really good match. This was fantastic. We got to see King Corbin win again after him needing one so desperately. We got to see Drew Gulak wrestling well, because he hasn't done that since he wrestled Daniel Bryan for the IC title. And we got to see him looking passionate, and we got a lot of story advancement, actually. We got Matt Riddle coming out, and then beating up King Corbin, and then Shorty G coming in, leading me. I think this might be my favorite story of SmackDown right now, if I'm being honest. I'd have to see how the Fiend storyline comes out before that's my favorite. But right now, I'm excited for this King's Bounty storyline.
Ransom. King's Ransom.
King's Ransom. What did I say? King's Bounty?
Yeah.
King's Ransom.
You're no feudal lord.
I also want to see how Jeff Hardy kind of lines up into it. I'm wondering how, if they're going to even do that, or if he was just used to connect, or to bring in Corbin at some point. But yeah, really wonderful fight. And that was like the lowest ranked fight today. Then you had Biggie versus The Miz, another great fight. Like, these two together were awesome. You had sort of this moment for Biggie to prove that he can do singles, even though we already know he can do singles. The Miz also returning to form as a wrestler and as a performer. It checked all the boxes, but I don't think it gave us enough to lead into. We kind of don't know where things are going after this. I hope it means Biggie going after the IC title against AJ Styles. That would be pretty awesome. I'd like to see
everyone going after that title in your head, don't you?
I've seen this suggested a lot, Biggie versus AJ Styles. I think that is probably the most realistic challenge we could see. Plus, that's really the only SmackDown title that's really up for grabs right now. The Universal title is buried under the swamp right now. But it was a good fight. I don't think it had as much lead out as the Drew Gulak King Corbin fight. Can I just skip over the Lacey Evans and Naomi fight? Okay, because that was bad.
I just love that that's like their like response to Naomi deserves better. It's like, is this better? Is this better to you guys? Is this what we're calling better? Because if this is better, I think you may as well have just left her back at catering.
And the worst part is, we know that both of them can wrestle really well. Lacey Evans is a wonderful wrestler, and Naomi is also incredible. We've seen like
stunning.
Lacey, when she was fighting Sonia, was awesome. I thought that would lead Sonia out of the Mandy storyline. I thought that Lacey would get a chance to shine more, but then we got karaoke. And it seems like they don't know what to do with Naomi now. Just having her fight Lacey repeatedly. But then we move into the Nikki versus Bayley, which for a moment was my pick for tonight. It was until... You know how there's RKO out of nowhere? This is just Bayley retains out of nowhere. Which seems like just how her storyline's going. Good fight, and then Bayley wins. It's how Extreme Rules went, and it's how it's going now. And it's such a shame because Nikki looked amazing in that fight. Can we get hashtag Nikki deserves better?
How about, rather than that, hashtag Bayley and Sasha deserve less? No, everyone else deserves better, obviously. They don't deserve what they've got. Writers just don't know what to do.
Can we have, like, Charlotte Flair coming back with, like, a not pregnant Becky Lynch and just take on Sasha and Bayley?
Do we really think that Becky Lynch is coming back after being...
Alright, fine. Charlotte Flair coming back with Ronda Rousey and just kicking the absolute shit out of Bayley and Sasha. And then having Ronda Rousey dip into the shadows forever. And Charlotte Flair is the top of Raw.
Quicker to just pair Charlotte with literally anyone else that still exists in WWE at this point. Leave Ronda out of it. I don't need her back.
I want someone that can destroy those two. I know Charlotte can. Maybe Io. We'll have Io come in and take on those two with Charlotte. Because Asuka can't do shit.
Mad at her. I don't want to talk about her.
But
I don't want to talk about that shit right now.
Like I said, this fight would have been great until the very ending. Also, I love Charlotte Flair. How dare you, Mike? Charlotte Flair is amazing.
What did Mike say?
Mike said, no thanks, please no, Charlotte. Charlotte Flair is amazing. She is no longer Ric Flair's daughter. Ric Flair is Charlotte Flair's father.
To be totally fair, Charlotte Flair's storyline did hit the shitter.
Oh, absolutely.
A month before she left. I will give that much.
She is.
I don't know. I can never tell. I can never tell if I like Charlotte Flair or if I like looking at Charlotte.
She is a very beautiful woman. She is ravishing, as they would say in the 1940s.
Milady.
But she is also incredibly powerful. I would expect her to rip any male wrestler in half.
I would let her figure for me. I would allow such things. However, I think one of the biggest things that sold me on her was that she tried to tear up Bayley and Sasha, and I was like, doing the Lord's work. You're out there, thank you. Successfully, but.
But anyway, back to the fight. I don't want to pick this fight at all because of that ending. I don't want to pick AJ versus Grand Metalik. I don't want to pick Lacey versus Naomi. Now it's down to Drew versus Corbin. Okay. What?
I don't know where you're going.
It's down to Drew versus Corbin and Biggie versus Miz. And because of the grand scheme of the storylines being presented in front of us, I want to give my vote to Drew Gulak versus King Corbin. Is that a good smile or a I very much disagree smile?
I'm choosing Lacey and Naomi. No, I'm not.
What?
I couldn't even sell that. No, I agree. I wanted to choose Biggie and Miz, but Miz is fighting. Still, I'm not totally sold on where he's going right now. He does some stuff where I'm just like, eh. Mm. Mm-hmm. And like it's hard, I think, too, because like we've seen Miz in his prime. Like, back in the good old days, 2016, walking out with Maurice and, like, doing shit that, like, made me be like, oh, thanks. You haven't really seen that lately. Biggie was really impressive. And Miz wasn't bad.
Yeah.
But I'm still not sold on his style of fighting.
I mean, we've seen bad Miz. This is not bad Miz.
I liked seeing a fight where not only got Corbin looking good and Gulak looking good, which, frankly, Corbin usually has been looking pretty good. He's just been overpowered in his last few fights.
Mm-hmm.
Gulak looked like shit the last few matches that he was in. So to see a fight where both of them looked pretty decent and like actual competitors was awesome. And on top of that, we got somebody walking out who didn't disrupt the flow of the fight.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it wasn't like Matt Riddle walked out and like Corbin was distracted to the point where he lost. Yeah. He was distracted, he got rolled up, but he still ended up dazing back. And then we got Shorty G, and we've gotten like, I think what sold me on this, like, and normally I feel like this wouldn't have sold me at all. The other people, it wouldn't have. I feel like the fact that we know there's a connection with Drew and Riddle. We got a pretty well established and not forced, it felt like, not forced connection with Corbin and Shorty G.
Yeah, especially after that promo. I mean, we all expected Shorty G to be a face, especially after that team up with Biggie and Kofi. So seeing him run out and attack Matt Riddle was a huge surprise. And we don't get many of those.
I think that, like, there was a way that they could have done it that wouldn't have been convincing, and it's probably the way that they've done a lot of things recently with, like, you know, again, going back to, like, MVP trying to, like, sidle up to literally anybody backstage. I think that the way they did it and the way they kind of left us hanging on whether or not Shorty G was, like, going to be down with Corbin's idea or not, and then bringing him into this fight, kind of blindsided me, and I was really excited about it. And at the same time, we got Corbin not looking like an asshole lone wolf,
mm-hmm.
which I really enjoyed. So, again, SmackDown tonight was not the most stunning in terms of fighting, but they did so much better with story than they have done in so long.
100%.
And I've got to give those points where they are deserved.
And the only thing I wish we'd seen, and this is just nitpicking, is Corbin doing the thing where he slides out of the ring, whips around the turnpost, slides back in. It's so fun to see.
It is. He's such a fast little man, except he's really tall and still really fast, actually.
I mean, he's a football player. It makes sense.
I think I had something I wanted to say before this was over. But I guess I don't. I guess all I wanted to say was that I was thoroughly impressed with this evening's SmackDown.
Mm-hmm.
I hope that because I wasn't that impressed with Raw last Monday, I hope that I'm not going to be further unimpressed by Raw this coming Monday.
Tonight, actually, I'm looking forward to next week's SmackDown now. I am.
Yeah. That scares me because I'm, like, worried about Raw now. Because, like, yeah. Raw hit a couple points last Monday where I was like, what's happening?
Yeah. Especially after the whole Sasha and Asuka thing. Was that this past Monday? Okay. Yeah, I hope they get better. But at least NXT has been solid consistently.
Yeah, if you're not Finn Balor.
Yeah. Well. Hopefully we get Finn Balor versus Johnny Gargano soon. That would be the only way to redeem this.
Hopefully we get Finn Balor doing Something.
Well, thanks for watching, everybody.
Anything.
Just to recap, our promo of the night is The Fiend appears before Alexa Bliss. Our fighter of the night is Big E, Big Meat. Fight of the night is Drew Gulak versus King Corbin. Do you want to say anything before we close out?
I have so many things to say before we close out. So many things. Buckling for another hour. That's a joke.
Oh.
I'm about to fall asleep.
I can tell. Because I know when you're sleepy.
Thanks. Any whoozy whatsits. So big thank you to everyone that's in the chat. I assume that is Mike, specifically a Milam.
We also got a new follower.
Oh, did we? You didn't even say anything.
Because it was during your flow. I didn't want to interrupt you.
Did I have a flow?
Thank you. I'm totally going to butcher this, but Rogelio
right.
Morier thanks for the follow.
To be fair, we Milam's username for at least, I think, a week.
Yeah.
And he was lovely enough to not say anything until we asked. But yeah, thank you guys so much for being in the chat. I obviously cannot see it because I still have not figured out how to see it. But I know Mark has mentioned you guys multiple times, so I assume that you've been with us this whole time, and I appreciate that. An uncountable degree.
And
because,
next
again,
time,
as I say,
next time Liz will have the chat open so she can see.
maybe if we remember. As I say every week, Mark and I could literally do this on our couch, just talking to each other. So it really helps having you guys in the chat. And I know that 9 times out of 10, I am actually not talking to my camera. I'm looking at myself in the screen view thing. Now I'm going to address the camera, so I'm addressing you guys. But thank you for being active in the chat. Thank you guys for being active in our Twitter, for mentioning us in tweets. We love attention.
Great way
That's
to put
a joke,
it.
Sort of, but not really. But we really appreciate it. We really like knowing that you guys enjoy it because it's validating. And that's a pretty big part of this. So thank you guys so much. We will be back on Monday. If I haven't exploded from stress, we'll be back Monday. My hair will be washed. I might actually be well rested, or at least caffeinated. And we'll be talking about Randy Orton.
Oh, man.
Drew McIntyre.
Follow the
Probably
stream.
the end of Drew McIntyre's title reign. Oh, yeah. Follow the stream.
So you can be updated whenever we go live. You'll get a nice little notification if you hit the bell. And it also gets us a little bit closer to being affiliate status. And we might be able to get subscribers at that point.
Mark knows what that means. I don't.
And also follow us on Twitter. We also post when we go live there. It's at the Pinfall Cast. Just remove the pod and you have the Twitter. We also post, in case you missed an episode, we have our Fight of the Night and Fighter of the Night posted there every single, at the end of every single podcast. And we also talk about various wrestling news and retweet a lot of wrestling stuff there. And follow our individual Twitters. I am at the Mark Cameron. Liz is at Eliza Elaine23. And I have a personal Twitch, which you should definitely follow. We're working on a special project that combines the fundamentals of wrestling with Pokemon, creating the Universal Pokemon Federation. And you can follow me there at twitch.tv/Mark Cameron, MARC Cameron. Shout out Ninetales, thank you, Mike. And if you missed part of this,
that's the dog one, right?
The nine-tailed fox.
Dog one.
The fox.
Oh.
And if you missed
My
part
glasses on, so I look smart.
If you missed part of this podcast, or want to catch up on previous podcasts, we have a YouTube. Just search the Pinfall podcast on there, and you'll be brought right to us, where we have all of our archived podcasts, minus a couple because sometimes Streamlabs sucks. But yeah, thanks so much for watching. We'll see you on Monday. Have a great weekend.
Oh, did you not plug my Twitter?
I did plug your Twitter. We're just showing the cat's
Or
leg.
Did you? Oh. I have my glasses on right now because normally I can't wear them during the stream because they slide down because they don't fit my face. I just want everyone to know. Now I can see.
And good luck.
Thank you guys for watching so much.
Good luck virtually teaching on Monday, Mike.
Stay safe, Mike.
And stay safe to everyone watching. Stay virus free.
Stay safe to everyone, please.
All right, we'll see you on Monday.